Meyer Log Cabin and House, a popular Iowa County attraction, was built in 1856. The structures give a glimpse of how life was lived in this area over 130 years ago. The cabins at the Pioneer Heritage Museum in Marengo were first moved from their original rural site south of Homestead to downtown Marengo near the Iowa Valley Elementary School in the mid-1960s. The arduous and slow journey through town was chronicled by the Pioneer Republican newspaper of Marengo. Later, the cabin and house were moved to the present Pioneer Heritage Museum site in 1981. Both structures were built by German immigrant and Iowa County pioneer Henry Meyer. Meyer emigrated to the U.S. in the 1850s. He met his wife Magdalene Werner in Iowa City, where he hauled wheat for milling. Meyer built the bachelor's cabin first in 1856 and lived in it for several years before the house was built in 1861. Meyer and others like him were fortunate to have settled in eastern Iowa, where timber was plentiful and farmland was rich. A pioneer would use the available materials and resources. Consequently, when there was timber nearby, you would build your home out of logs. The log house and the bachelor cabin, too, contain many one-of-a-kind items representative of the mid to late 19th century, including handmade pioneer items generously donated over the years by Iowa County residents. Reta Fox of North English is one of the county's foremost experts on the bachelor cabin, log house, and its history.
Well, we first decided to have this, we thought it was time we was preserving our past, and we had a home economist here, Alberta Jane, she thought it'd be a good idea, and we had a meeting, we elected board members, and from then on it just took off. Rudy Schroeder was became interested in our society, and he knew of this log cabin out in the country because he had been helping this lady manage her business affairs. And this cabin was given to a Lutheran church, and since Mr. Schroeder was a Lutheran, that's probably how he became interested in it. Then he hired Merlin Strasser from North English. He moved houses, and he moved it in for him. And it was located in the northeast corner of the square, close to the elementary school. And it was there for about, several years, till 1981. It was moved in 1964, and was there until 1981. And first we had to really redo it, and we had to landscape it, and that's when Mrs. Schroeder became interested. She chose the trees that she thought should be around that. We tried to keep everything like it was in the very beginning, and we have always strived to do that. To get people interested in the Historical Society, we knew there was history in Iowa County, and one year we would have a historic tour of one area, like the northeast corner and the southwest corner, and we would follow the old stagecoach route, and it really roused people's interest, and these tours really helped us to get organized. And but we never had a meeting place, so we would eat out, have dinners at different areas, places where you can dine out in this area, and from there the interest just grew, and we would have the editors in the paper tell them what we needed, what artifacts we needed for our museum, and people just came forth with some really treasures, which we were very appreciative of. Oh, goody, the latch string is out. We're welcome to come in. Now, you have to pull this latch string up because there's a hook on the other side. Now, when that latch string is inside, they don't want company. That was their way of their lock and key to keep you safe. So, you want to come on in?
An original piece of furniture from the log cabin is a rocking chair purchased by Henry Dorsman and his wife Mary Meyer Dorsman around 1882. Mary Meyer, the daughter of Henry Meyer and Magdalene Werner Meyer, was born, baptized, and had her wedding dinner served in the cabin. The mid to late 19th century were truly pioneer days in Iowa County, and in a 1961 Pioneer Republican feature, Mary Meyer Dorsman said she still remembered the times as a child in the Meyer household when Native Americans would ride up to the cabin and trade for corn or potatoes. Her family thought they were always friendly and gracious. Mary died in 1963, the last surviving member of her family. She was Marengo's oldest resident at age 97. Mary's father, Henry Meyer, emigrated from Germany. The cabin proudly displays his citizenship papers.
And this is our spinning wheel, and they were very important. Everybody had a spinning wheel because they had to spin their own material out of flax and linen that they grew. And they didn't waste any material. They didn't have the clothes that they had now either.
Each family had a trunk to keep valuable possessions as they traveled to their new homes. The Meyer cabin has a trunk representative of the time period.
I'm really proud of is this cradle. It rocks, and this willow twig, we would put that in these little holes here, and then they would put a piece of cheesecloth over that to keep the flies off the baby. And then we had a straw tick, and every time you would get fresh straw, in the summertime, you'd refill your ticks and throw the old straw away, and then when you'd have company, you'd put your prettiest quilt on the bed. Never heard of detergent. That's just been an invention since I've been alive. But they'd use this lye soap. That was what. And you never threw any grease away. You saved it for making your soap. Right here is our iron griddle that they used to make their pancakes with. This is where they used to keep their matches in the matchbox to start the fires with. And old iron skillet. This is the kraut cutter, and this was a big one too. They'd maybe make 25 heads of cabbage at a time. Put them in a barrel and then let it sour, and that's what they ate all winter long. And this is the washboard that they used to put in the wash tub and rub their clothes clean. And they had dirty clothes back then too. But it used to be women would get out and put their washing on the line early Monday morning. That's a sign you weren't lazy. And then this is a sausage grinder. You put your meat in here and your casing here, and then you can make sausages. And then you'd fry those down and put lard on them, and they'd keep that way till you ate them in the middle of the summer. This is another sausage grinder. This was the forerunner of the of the vacuum cleaner. You'd take your carpets out and beat them and get the dirt out. Let's see here. This is another sausage grinder, and this was a very important item. Everybody had a soapstone that they would put on the stove and heat it, and then when you go to bed at night, why, that would keep your feet warm. This was a grater that you'd put your food in here and then turn the handle and put this on there and press it down, and your grated food would come out here. This was an apple peeler. You can stick your apple on here, and then you'd go around. And I don't know how that paired. Well, I don't know how that worked, really. That goes around. Oh, there's a blade here. That's how it would work. Yes. Put your apple here, and as you go around, it would peel it. This was the potato masher, a very important item. This was a handmade rolling pin that worked very well. This was a kraut cutter. You'd put this in a wooden bowl, and then you chop your kraut up that way. And they used to buy their coffee by the beans. You'd grind your own coffee around here, and then you'd pull it out, and then you'd have your grounds to make your coffee. And this was a cookie cutter and another cookie cutter. They're all handmade, and this was very special. I bet some little boys ate a lot of little fish cookies. And this was a crackling squeezer. After you'd butcher, you would cut your fat pieces, the fat off, and cook them in an iron kettle outside. And then when they got down to cracklings, well, then your lard would all be on top, and you'd drain that off. But what was left over, you'd squeeze out the cracklings to get the last bit of lard out. Some of these old dishes, the most interesting, in my opinion, is this tea leaf. I think it's a beautiful pattern. And it's really a collector's item now. We feel very fortunate to have what we have. This was the sugar bowl. Imagine filling that full of sugar. But people used to use a lot more sugar than they do now. We're so conscious of our weight and everything. And this was a butter dish. You used to put your butter in a round ball and put it in there and cover it up to keep the animals or the flies from it. And this old platter here is, I'd say we've had it in here for a long time, and it says on there 125 years. So I think this would be about 150 years old now. And then some of these things were found in Molly Hawk's at her sale.
As one can see, pioneer families made use of every inch of available space. The bachelor cabin contains many implements necessary for survival on the plains in Iowa during the 19th century.
Well, if we don't preserve it, people will not understand what our ancestors went through to get us where we're at now.